From my apartment, it's the Survivor Know-It-Alls, and here's the guy who I can't break a stick into. Like, really, that's me. Stephen Fishback. Hey, and I'm here. Unfortunately, Rob Cesternino and Josh Wigler are both dead. Terrible news for their families, but wonderful news for us. We have Tyson Apostle here, someone who's actually won Survivor, talking about Survivor.
Woot woot! How often does that happen? Only like a few times. It could only happen like 33 times a year.
Yeah.
If it was once a time. So yeah,
that's right. But like you could also do it every time, so it could happen, all the time.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to be a disappointment compared to Rob and Josh Wigler.
Yeah, I mean that's a low bar, so don't worry. Yeah. I'm sure you'll cross it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. How are you? It's been a while since we've talked.
I know, it's been too long. I have you on my speed dial and everything, and I just never push that button.
Yeah. Wow, this is kind of an.
But you can also call me too. Yeah. That's the thing.
Okay. I'll think about it. So what'd you think? What'd you think the first episode, Survivor? You're excited to be back here.
Yeah, I'm excited. I thought it was a good episode. I actually liked the premise more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I like it more viewing it than on paper.
Why? What's the difference for you between Millennials versus Gen X on paper versus on the show?
On paper, it just doesn't flow. It doesn't rhyme. Yeah. It's not like a common saying that people say all the time around town.
Blood versus water doesn't rhyme and it's not a common thing.
But that's a little more common. I've heard the phrase blood versus water.
Yeah, you probably hear it all the time now. I remember you.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. It's like a day doesn't go by where I don't at least hear it in my head.
Yeah.
And but watching it play out and the attitude, it really is different. There is a different style and approach to life, I think, that is hopefully going to make the whole season fun.
So you felt like the tribes really embodied that sort of difference of like the Millennials. They're the ones who are they're carefree.
I think both tribes at least accepted the title and accepted the challenge. And the Gen X guys were like, we used to be the slackenest generation around the town, but now these Millennials, they get a trophy for everything.
Yeah.
And we're really going to sock it to them and teach them how to work hard.
Do you think part of that, though, is like when you go on to a season called Millennials versus Gen X, you've got to like play it up. Like you become that person.
Yeah, I think that is true, but I think that the title created the rift in the tribes already.
What about you? You're obviously a Gen Xer in age, but sort of a millennial in spirit. You also don't like to work hard for things.
I think so, and I think that's what's going to be interesting is to see if the Millennials, since none of them are going to be willing to work hard for that.
Yeah.
If anything gets done, because I know when I go out on Survivor, I at least try to appear like I'm helping.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. But if all 10 people are trying to appear like they're helping, nothing's going to get done. And eventually somebody's going to figure it out.
I feel like you're sort of the Zeke where you seem very like chill and carefree, but you're actually like the survivalist expert. Like on Token Cheens, you basically taught me to make fire. You were certainly, you were out there like doing wilderness things.
Yeah. And I think body type wise, me and Zeke are also...
You're both tall, willowy,
willowy Billy
hairless men. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's one of those things like Survivor. I wasn't making fires before Survivor, but you just get out there and some people have a knack for picking that stuff up or in the moment and realizing the necessity of doing that, they do it.
Right.
And I think like Zeke embodied that whole idea in that moment of making fire. He was like, I did it and I'm kind of the leader now. So
was that a mistake for him to like, I mean, to be clearly like no shelter was getting built if Zeke didn't build it. Like if you're in that position though, are you still like, I guess we're sleeping on the ground tonight again?
I would be.
Yeah. Well, the villains too, right? You guys were famously terrible at camp life.
Yeah. It's because everybody wants to lead without doing any of the work, and nobody is really an expert in the field, but Survivor is a weird thing. And I think the people who build the shelters for everybody else, that's a huge strategic mistake.
Yeah.
It never goes well for the person who builds the shelter all by themselves.
Well, let's talk about the Gen X tribe, because there you got a tribe full of builders, and that's obviously the big news tonight. The headline of the night is Rachel voted off the Gen X tribe. Spoiler alert: if you're you haven't watched the show, you should not be tuning in here anyway. Was this the right move? Was this the right move for them?
It came down to David and Rachel, and I feel like it was the wrong move. I think it should have been David, but they were nervous about a hidden immunity idol. So leaving David out of it, assuming he has an immunity idol, could be a smart move because he was nervous enough he would have played it. And but if you look at it, David wants to be strategic. Yeah. He wants to make big moves. He wants to play the game. You don't leave a guy like that in the game, especially when he's on the outs, because the second the merge hits, he's jumping ship.
Right. I mean, they didn't split the votes, though. If they were really worried about an idol, they certainly had the numbers to split the votes. The only person who voted for David was Cece, who wasn't in on anybody's plan.
Yeah, they split the votes on Cece and Rachel.
On Cece and Rachel, right? So they weren't they weren't trying to flush David's idol out there.
No, David's plea might have gotten to him enough where he promised those people his loyalty, which I don't know why you'd fall for that, but it's their first time playing.
Yeah, I think that does come into it, right? It's like, you say, I would get rid of the schemy guy first, and
if he's not on my side,
right. But they're thinking I can't live another moment out here with Rachel. That was the sense I got from Rachel. Correct. Was that she was really annoying,
and that's what's hard.
Yeah. Especially your first time, you're like, I'm discovering this really cool experience. I'm doing this awesome thing that I never thought I would do. And this girl, I can't stand another minute of her.
Yeah. And that's, more often than not, it's the annoying person that goes first.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a pretty typical. Yeah.
Time and time again. The only time that doesn't happen on a regular basis is returning seasons.
Yeah, when it's some crazy like Vetus goes first because everyone's terrified of Vetus.
Correct.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, that's what I was going to say, and it came down to those two, and it didn't look like Rachel was even really fighting for her spot, and David at least begged to stay there and let everyone know that he wanted to be there and that he loved having the chance to be there, and Rachel was kind of like, it feels like I'm left out of everything.
Yeah, that scene of her and Cece, is that Cece?
Yeah, Cece.
Of them standing on that cliff, just looking out over everyone, totally talking past each other. I love that. No one is communicating. They're not talking to each other at all. They're just watch. It's I don't know. It seemed like some deeply profound.
Yeah, but and in my mind, I'm screaming, go down there and get in the conversation.
Yeah, why not just walk down and say, what are you guys talking about? And David did that. That's what I liked about David. He did that.
Oh, it's so funny. For future Survivor contestants, there's two things you don't want to do. You don't want to overplay early like David did.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the most annoying person on the tribe like Rachel was, because those are your two biggest chances of getting out of the game first.
So obviously, the elephant in my room is that David's narrative was very similar to my narrative, right? The awkward guy doesn't know how to build shelters on this tribe full of these big manly dudes. He runs around the island looking for idols. Yeah, hard time breaking a stick. My stick was much bigger than that. All right, I was wrestling a tree
here. Yeah. And yours looked like a real good solid dried piece. His was rotten inside, and he still had a hard time. Yes, you're stronger than David.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. And so then he runs around looking for idols. What's he, if you're David and you're freaking out, shoot, everyone's out to get me. Is there any argument to be made that you should be running around looking for idols?
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
But if you're only paranoid, no. But the second you know that people are out for you, because he was paranoid that people were out for him because he felt like he was an outcast.
Right.
And they weren't really. The catalyst in people wanting him out was him looking for idols and then him performing poorly in the challenge. But after performing poorly in the challenge, that's the time when you make your last-ditch efforts. And some of those last-ditch efforts include looking for the idol with no shame.
Yeah, right. And he also, even from the get-go, was like, oh my God, look at what Ken has in his pocket. It's an idol. That. He just was operating at an 11. And I thought some of it too was was the people he was cast with. You know, like if he had been with the Zekes and the Hannahs of the world, like he probably would have been on a totally different wavelength.
Yeah, he could have been. I mean, his gameplay definitely came out at like a day 32. That's like a day 32 like gameplay when you need one more person out of the game until you have the game in your grips.
Locked
you know,
up. Yeah. And you're like freaking out. Yeah.
And so, yeah, you don't come out playing that strong and expect to last the entire game. So, yeah, it was, and it's crazy because everybody knows that. People who watch the show know that, but these people still can't stop from doing it once they hit the beach.
Yeah, you get out there and it's like, I'm on Survivor. I've got so much nervous energy. I got to like do this thing. And like controlling that is hard. But like also though, like you are out there that first day, you know, there's an idol out there. Someone's going to stumble across it. Like, what do you like? Let's say you were, you know, you certainly had this in your third season. And, you know, let's say you went back for a fourth season, day one, you hit the beach. Like, how are you not looking for, like, how are you not like somewhat like kind of looking for an idol?
Yeah. You're always somewhat looking for it, but you never want anyone to catch you. Yeah. And I mean, so the times I went, every time you keep your eye open for like the weird standing furniture, you know, the tree, the rock, whatever. And you start looking around that, but you do it as you pass by, and you don't make it that obvious. Those people that are making it obvious, it's crazy to me that is the plan, is to just be like, I don't care what everyone sees. I'm going to go off by myself and look for this idol while everyone watches.
Yeah, no, that's and that's, you know, though, like from the narrative we're seeing, you know, he's right out there in the open. I mean, I remember like that was also the narrative that for me, and I thought, I mean, there's a certain degree, right, where like everyone is always going to think the David is looking for an idol, right? Because he's David. Like, so whenever David's away from camp, people are going to be like, oh, he's looking for an idol,
right?
And probably everyone is kind of looking for. Clearly, it's like touched a nerve for me here.
It's a time thing. If you're gone for 2 minutes, no problem. If you're gone for 10 minutes, that's a problem.
Right. So let's talk about the tribe dynamics on the Gen X tribe. Like, how did you think of the way it kind of like shook out with Brett? I mean, would you agree that like Brett and Chris were sort of the leaders out of the gate?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Brett actually did is Brett the guy who kind of took charge on the building initially? Yeah,
he's the Boston cop.
Okay.
Chris is the sort of like big guy with the red hair who used to play football, and he's a lawyer now.
Yeah. Who's the more muscular guy?
They're both pretty big. I think Chris is maybe the bigger of the two. He was the one who was really getting into it in the challenge.
Okay. So Chris, I think he had the right approach where he was like, look, I know how to do. Is he the one that was like lived in the jungle in Maui?
That was Ken. That was Ken was like the model, right? Like
I think Ken needs to step up a little bit more. He said he was going to step up, and then he didn't really.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, you know, I naturally I'm like, what could the nerd have done right? And you're like, what could this handsome, like lean like guy with ripped abs have done better?
Well, Ken had the right approach where he's like, hey, look, I know what to do here, how to build a shelter and stuff, and I'm willing to help and give direction, but I can't do it by myself. Like, we need to, you know. And he's like, and I'm willing to be the leader here, but not the dictator.
But then he kind of like disappeared, and in fact, like. He was not in the core six. Like when Brett and Chris were like listing the core
six, they were
going
to leave him out.
Yeah, the outsiders were David and Ken and Cece and Rachel, and I was surprised that Ken was not a part of it.
Yeah, which is also a mistake on the Six's part. Yeah, but that's novice gameplay, is leaving people out of the loop. You leave the minimum amount of people out of the loop, and if it's between two people, that means there's two more people that can be included in the six.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like to compare. You know, at least they have six, unlike on the Millennial tribe, where you've got the Triforce, which is by its nature 3. It's a Triforce. Yeah. You know, like you need a sixth force.
Yeah, the what do they call that? I don't remember, the triad. Yeah. But people are already onto them, and that's the thing. And those people are just like, we're pretty, and we've always gotten what we wanted. So why wouldn't this just work out for us? And maybe it will. Maybe they'll all get $1 million at the end of this thing.
I'm gonna try to have a defense of the Triforce, okay? Because I think we all agree the Triforce is ridiculous. Like they're transparently numerically disadvantaged. There's 3 of them, 4 if you count Michelle. There's 6 people they're leaving out of that. But in any alliance, you have a core alliance. And from the Triforce's perspective, they don't think they're gonna win the vote with 3 votes. They think this is my tight 3. And we're gonna pull in some floaters, and it's gonna be like an onion. We're gonna like do it that way. Like, is there any? What are they doing wrong though? It's just that everyone's onto their game.
It's everyone's onto their game, but if they get past a couple votes, it doesn't matter at that point.
Right.
But Figgy was actually observant to see how tight the 2 boys were, and to be like, I need to join that immediately and get in tight with them to make it a strong 3, because a strong 3 is better than a weak 3.
Yeah,
and a strong 3 is better than a strong 2. So,
and in some ways, a strong 3 is better than a weak 6 or 7.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, if you can have each other's backs to a higher degree, it definitely is.
I mean, you and Jervis, I guess Monica, kind of picked apart a bigger group by, pulling different groups of people in.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the same. I mean, we were jumping back and forth a little bit. It wasn't voting blocks per se, but that was future play. We hadn't even we were unaware of what the possibilities could be.
Just imagine if you went back and you'd be able to put that strategy into play. So there's hope, right? I mean, it's interesting. I actually didn't even notice that about Figgy. Is that so? You kind of thought she was astute.
Yeah, I definitely did. She saw the tight alliance forming between the 2 guys, and she worked her way into it. Yeah. And whether or not that's the thing she's going with, she's at least in that thing.
Right.
Like, she can go elsewhere.
And Michelle, she's kind of like the 4th in that group.
Yeah, she's like the 4th, and she doesn't know it yet. But when it gets down to 4 people, she's going to start realizing that she's going home next.
Yeah, that's when you know. That's when you find out. It's like that's right. It's the Sierra discovery.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, looking at the Hannahs of the world, and like, the Maris, like, they immediately were like, oh, we're on the outs of this group, but like, there were only 3 people who were on the ins. Like, I really felt like it was like some kind of, I think I would do that too. It's like some kind of like fundamental nerd narrative that like never leaves you. When you go back on Survivor, you like step right into all your junior high insecurities. Yeah. And it's like, the cool kids are leaving me out of their thing once again. It's like, they don't even have a thing.
Yeah. There's less of them than there are of us, but I feel like an outcast.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was fun that like Mari then, brought together, and in classic millennial fashion, it's like the social media influencer who's like bringing together all of the
I thought that too. And I thought she was, she was a good speaker. And I was like, oh, she's an entertainer on YouTube. Isn't that what she does? She plays video games on YouTube for people to watch.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, oh, this is perfect for her. This is like right down her alley.
Yeah. And it was like, she aced it. Who do you like on that tribe? Like, who do you think is in a good spot?
I actually think she is, as long as she has to not be perceived as the leader for as long as she can, or put somebody else in charge of the Island of Misfits or whatever they're going to call that group. I'm going with the Island of Misfits.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. All right. And she's kind of in a good spot for that reason, because she's got those other 3 out there who are such like an obvious target. Like, no one's going to be like, oh, Mari's running the show when they've got like the Triforce out there.
And also, Mari does seem cool enough that if she had to, she could work her way into the Triforce.
Yeah, I was surprised actually that Mari was like, like that Hannah was like, oh, Mari's an outcast. I was like, I was surprised that like, and Mari self-identified as a misfit toy. Or Island of Misfits, I kind of expected her to be like with the cool kids.
She could have been like 2nd tier cool kid in junior high. And so, when those top tier cool kids get in, she's like, I'm a misfit, but if she's the only one there, she would be the cool kid. So this could have played out differently if those 3 cool kids were replaced by nerds.
Yeah. It's really true. It's crazy like how much those archetypes play out. Who else? What do you think? We talked about Zeke a little bit.
I like Zeke. I think he's going to. I think his challenge is going to be keeping his mouth shut as he starts getting frustrated with people.
Yeah,
and I can see him being confrontational and demeaning And
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
I think so. I can see him getting angry with people for being stupid
yeah, yeah.
or not doing what he thinks is right.
He's, though, like he's a New Yorker. Like we have to bottle up a lot of rage constantly, a lot of surrounded all the time by a lot of stupid people, and have to like not throw elbows on the subway, and I think you
Yeah.
learn some skills that way.
Okay. So you think he's going to be able to bottle it all in and keep it in?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's fun. I mean, he's got that yacht wear down.
Yeah. Um, who else we got on that tribe? That's interesting. It's we kind of hit the big ones.
Yeah, we got the two bros, but they just are broing out. We have bros every season, and these are the bros this season.
How does it happen every season? It really is true. Like every season, there's like bros who can't count.
Yeah. That's the thing that in casting, they're like, okay, count to 20. And if they get it right, they send them home. If they get it wrong, they're like, you're perfect for the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that could be. Yeah, maybe one of them will be the next Joe.
Yeah.
White-haired, muscly Joe.
Yeah. Okay. Like the next cop Joe. Yeah. FBI Joe. They can only dream of being the next Joe. Yeah. So what about the challenge? So it was interesting. Like, I
like that.
You like this twist.
Oh, I love the twist. I love the more that Jeff makes these people choose, the better it is. Even early on when they had to choose the first challenge, when they were grabbing their gear and they had like choose the chickens or the fishing gear, choose the pots and pans or the hammer. I like that. I think that adds a new level to the game where it does. It's like, are we good enough at puzzles that we can deal with the handicap in the puzzle to get started a little quicker?
Quick question, but who's picking? I didn't understand the hammer. They're like, it was literally just a hammer. There was no nails.
Yeah, then I think they got nails because I saw later that somebody was hammering with a rock.
Oh, so there were nails.
So I think nails were available to everyone. You just needed a hammer if you wanted a hammer rather than find a rock.
Can we go through those choices? Hammer or pot and bowls? What do you pick?
You choose the pot and bowls.
Why?
And this is just from playing Survivor in the past. I mean, you watch these guys and they're doing the same things you and I did in Token Chains, where it's like, let's grab this bundle of sticks. We're going to build our shelter with it. Right, and then it's like 800 pounds. And when you get to your island, there's sticks there already. So it's like, I just carried 100 pounds of sticks through the forest.
Yeah.
So it's like they're making these mistakes, but they don't know any better.
So explain why the pot is better than the hammer, because that may not be
intuitive. I mean, I think there were multiple pots and pans. There was a couple things.
There's a couple bowls. Yeah,
you can cook with them. You can boil water, and that's more important than hammering a nail in.
There's very little hammering that happens in Survivor, and you need to boil constantly and just to like eat, sharing food. It's What about the fishing gear versus the chickens? This was a more interesting choice because I'm actually not sure where I net out on this.
I would choose the fishing gear.
Yeah.
But a lot of seasons people don't get any fish and they have the fishing gear.
Yeah.
Is it two in the one in the hand is better than two in the bush? Isn't that what they say? Something like that?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
So you could use that here.
Well, the chickens will run around in the bush.
Well, one in the hand is the chickens.
Oh, okay.
Or in the bush, something you don't already have is the fishing gear.
Well, there's no fish in the bush though.
No. Well, underwater bushes.
Oh, that's true. Like kelp or whatever. Seaweed. Yeah.
So I think I would go with the fishing gear. I think there's more opportunity for more food.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, but it's not as clear cut a decision. It's not as clear cut as because it is
a little more confusing.
It is the case that in a lot of these seasons they don't. There's not a lot of fish to catch.
Right.
What about so we get to the challenge, and I agree with you. I love the choices. It's always interesting. It's interesting because in the moment it's interesting. What are they going to choose? And it's interesting because then afterwards there's repercussions. There can be repercussions to the choices they make.
And who's going to take charge? Because someone is forced to take charge in those moments.
Yeah, someone has to make the call. So what did you think of the calls they made?
I think that, I mean, obviously the millennials chose right because they won the challenge,
They won.
but
That's
the
fine.
Gen X people, I mean, they weren't going to get through that. And Jeff made the point too, is like these body types are bigger and they're not
Yeah.
going to get through the tighter netting. And that's correct. I feel like they should have attempted the balance beam. I feel like more people should have attempted that.
Yeah, I
And
was surprised
nobody,
that balance beam of all things. I mean, it wasn't that long.
yeah, nobody attempted it at all.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't at
That's,
least like give it a go.
yeah, just one try. That's what, 20 seconds of your time.
Yeah. And it really does all come down to the puzzle. Like in a puzzle like that, I haven't solved a lot of Survivor puzzles because like people are usually so eager to go on them, and I'm like, put me out. You know, I don't want.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
wanna
your
waste
own.
it.
You're sealing your own fate, bro,
Yeah.
by raising your hand to do the puzzle, and that's
Yep.
what we actually saw with Rachel and David.
Yes, like even if it's not your fault, you know, like they had a harder puzzle, they lost, they couldn't figure it out. You know, maybe it was their fault, maybe it wasn't, but like by putting yourself in that position, like why would you do that?
Yeah, I always say a puzzle is a crapshoot. I mean, physically, you can look at a challenge and say, I can physically do that, and I'm not going to be the worst. But
Right.
looking at a puzzle, you don't know. Like once you get in there and your mind gets it together, it might just go together, and
Yeah.
you may just be stuck somewhere and not be able to do any of it.
Some of those things, it's like, yeah, you like see it or you don't see it, you know,
Right.
and like, you know,
You happen to put the one piece that needed to be laid to get everything else built around it. And so I never raise my hand to do puzzles for that exact reason. Let somebody else put themselves out there. This early game is all about putting yourself out there as few times as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. You want to like, you don't want to be obvious, you know, because people are looking for a reason to vote someone out. You know,
Correct.
they got to pick someone and like, they're just looking, give them an excuse.
Yeah. And that's all they need. And in those early moments, that's all you have to go off of.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's also just like jivingness, you know, it's like who bonds with who do you just like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of luck there, you know, and someone like David had bad luck and someone like, you know,
was it bad luck or is that just because he's not a people person?
I bet if David was with like, you know, Hannah, like they're going to get along. Like they're both like, you know, anxious comedy people, you know, versus like who can he bond with when it's like freaking Chris and Brett over there?
Yeah. They could have been the Max and Shireen of this season.
Yeah. So what about the storm? You know, were you a fan of the storm? Did they do that? No. What did you think? Well, that was crazy. I couldn't believe that.
Super crazy. And it shows you like, because Survivor does not stop for anything.
Yeah.
Like nothing. And then they said that. And I've sat through some miserable storms. You've sat through even worse storms than me. And like, I would have loved for them to come and be like, hey guys, we got to take you out of here for a second.
I know that's like a best case scenario. Although looking at the boat on that water, that must have been a scary boat trip.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah. But in the moment too, you got to be like, well, am I the worst swimmer here? I don't think so. So
I don't think that's how drowning works. It's not like a bear attack where, you know.
Well, you can use the others to climb up to the top. That's what I'm saying. And the weakest person is going to be standing on the bottom of the ocean holding everyone else up. No.
Yeah, no, I think you may be right. I think you're right. That's absolutely how it works.
So
you don't want to be the bottom. Yeah.
So it just makes Survivor look real, and they only have an hour and a half to show everything, and it still does not do it justice. But you know, they showed.
And it destroyed the shelter. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, it wasn't a very good shelter, but it still destroyed it.
Trees down, everything. You know, it was definitely serious.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, they've never given them a tarp, let alone evacuate them. I wanted to see where they went. You know, it's like they disappeared and they reappeared. And I get it. Like, you don't want to like waste too much time, but
I read somewhere. And it was either EW or something like that.
So it's a reputable source.
Yeah. They put them in a naked, like whitewashed walled room.
Naked?
Like just like no furniture, nothing. It was just like a blank empty room per tribe. And they waited it out there in lockdown.
So they weren't even talking to each other.
Correct.
And so they were two tribes separated, still like to have a freaking, you know, warm floor to sleep on when you're on Survivor. That's like the ultimate, that's like winning a reward. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to not have to talk to people.
Yeah. It's crazy because it's like being a have-not on Big Brother, but it's like the king's reward on Survivor. God, Big Brother's so easy. easy.
It's long though, like 100 days.
Oh my goodness, dude!
Yeah.
Who has time for that?
Who has time for that?
A
Yeah.
millennial, probably.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything with their lives.
Yeah. What do you think? Anything else we should hit, or should we get into questions? You got anything else?
No, I mean, I wish they would have had cameras in the lockdown area and just like you get people's reaction and be like, this is where they're staying for the night. We had to evacuate them. Kind of like when they broke the fourth wall with Caleb when he passed out. And,
right.
And I think that would have been a perfect opportunity to show how rough Survivor really can be.
I thought that would have been cool too. I mean, granted, right. I mean, you did this limited time in the premiere, but the crazy thing was after they left that beach, there was someone filming. Maybe they left a camera or something, but like someone filmed the shelter falling over, meaning there was a camera on the beach filming the shelter fall over. I'm guessing they didn't just like, hey, see, like, peace out, camera, good luck. I bet there was someone there.
Yeah, there's someone there. It's fine. One guy by himself with a camera can take care of it, but when you put like 10 millennials on a beach with falling trees, one of them's going to get clunked on the head.
I guess that's right. You know, kudos once again to the Survivor camera people though, because those guys are doing everything the survivors are, but like also carrying these rigs and working. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. Those guys are muscular. They got chiseled features.
They're very handsome. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. First question comes from My Opinion Matters. We'll see about that.
Yeah,
if David can make it to a swap, isn't he in the best spot to get pulled in by the millennials?
Yes, he definitely is. I feel like we already went over this, and it's just because he's on the outside, and so it's like whoever's on the outside, whether you pull him along or not, they're going to jump ship. So David already feels the rift between himself and the tribe, and he's going away from that the second he can.
But isn't jumping ship, like, when does the person who jumps ship ever win the game?
Not very often, but if he can further himself one position in the game or last 3 days longer, it's still worth it.
Yeah, I guess it's such an unfortunate position. And again, it's like, how do you play that when your tribe dislikes you? Like, you can flip to the other tribe, but you're not winning the game that way. Like, you've got to like create something new. You know, the move there is to like bring in a new. It's like it's like you in Blood versus Water, right? Like, you didn't jump ship, you like built a new ship.
Yeah, well, and that's what David is going to have to do here. He's going to have to. And for his gameplay, I think he needs to bond with people on his tribe and create something tight. He has time. He has time to create something tight, and if he can do that, then he has a better chance of making it well past the merge instead of being the guy that jumps ship and then gets voted out on the bottom of that other side.
Well, this is actually sort of what my blog is going to be about tomorrow, which is that it was so interesting to me how, on the millennial side of the tribe, in the millennial side, all of the outcasts banded together. But then on the Gen X side, right, all of the outcasts, like, they were off by themselves. They weren't talking to each other at all. You had Ken, David, Rachel, and Cece, who were all sort of on the outside of that group of six. Now, if that group of six had split the votes, which they did, and David, Ken, Rachel, and Cece had voted together, they could have taken over.
Right. And I don't know if that's a millennial and Gen X difference, in that the Gen X were kind of all just looking out for themselves and throwing other people under the bus, so to speak, or just hoping it's not them, where the millennials were like, I think it could be us. Let's get out of here, or let's band together and get these other people out. I
think it may be generational. I mean, there is that kind of like loser loner sort of sensibility in the Gen Xers.
Yeah, or the kind of like, as long as it's not me.
Yeah.
Instead of changing your entire fate, just being like, as long as it's not me this time, I'm good.
Yeah. Now it's like, I'm a nerd. I'm going to make an app and take over the world.
Yeah. And they do.
They do.
And it's irritating because why can't I make an app, Steven? Is it because I'm Generation X?
It's a generational thing. It has nothing to do with your programming skills or, business savvy.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Anthony S.
Yeah, go ahead.
He asks, do you think it's fair that Jeff blew up Will's spot by telling everyone on the mat that someone was born in 1997?
What do you think? I was on the fence about that. I thought, whatever, like, it's fine. Like, no one's going to think Will's, 60.
Yeah. And they gave him the opportunity to pass. Like he said, if you feel so inclined, raise your hand.
Right.
And it's like, he's on a tribe full of young people.
Right.
So saying that you're the youngest person, I feel is only going to help your game. Like, I'm young, I'm naive. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
And like Jeff is going to ask people questions, you know, like that's part of the game is like dealing with Jeff's questions. And like, if you can't deal with like, how old are you? You know, you're really in trouble.
Yeah. Or even have a lie for that moment. You know, how old are you? I'm 73.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I think it's fine. It's one of those things where it's people think those things matter, but they don't. I don't think age really plays a huge factor in Survivor.
Oh, really? I've always felt like there's a maturity issue. Like the sweet spot is to like, you know.
No, it is a maturity issue, but that's a personality thing more than an age thing. I mean, granted, the older you are, the more mature you should be, but there's nothing you can do to hide your maturity level. You can't be like, oh, I'm super mature, guys. Did you notice how all the mature things I did today around camp?
That is actually what young people do, though. It's like they talk about how mature they are. I feel like Joe Englund was always like, I'm almost, a real human.
Yeah, I'm going to date Kelly's Wigglesworth to prove how mature I am.
Yeah, okay. They've got a new show.
Okay, no comment.
Johnny DeSilvera wants to know, which puzzle would you two have chosen to work on? I think we would have both chosen to work on the puzzle with the least amount of pieces.
Yeah, I mean, any Gen X with any type of savvy would choose the least amount of puzzle pieces. Even I would have even chosen the one with less, because both of them, one chose the middle and one chose the large. Why not we choose the smallest, you and I, Steven, and we win this game just us two together?
Them if we had the smallest one and we didn't even have to run the previous challenge.
Oh my God. And we got to stay in a hotel and tell right before we had to do the puzzle. God.
And we had like coffee during the puzzle. Oh, so nice.
It would have been so good, dude. They wouldn't have known what hit them.
What does Katie Beth Austin want to know?
She says, is Jessica going to be the first medevac of the season from double pink eye?
And then Amanda Fallon also has, doesn't Jessica's eye infection look like the start of every zombie movie? What was your take on the pink eye?
I don't know. I mean, she had a pretty detailed explanation as how she got it, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. It could be from feces, could be from a lot of different stuff. And generally pink eye is from fecal matter of some sort. So
you're right. Like, it's not like usually from sand. Like, you don't usually get a contagious thing from sand, do you? Like, I felt sand is pretty,
yeah, not that I know of.
It might have been from like, you got to be careful with your, I would see some people, I'm not naming names, but they would go to the Douceteria and they would come back and they, Survivor gives you very few things, but one of the things they do give you is disinfectant for your hands after you do some things. And so not everyone would go to the disinfectant after they came back from Coconut Grove.
And then also you have the ocean right there, and a lot of people don't know this, or probably everybody does, but salt will kill a lot of those germs as well. So if you can go scrub down real good in the ocean, that is also something. I mean, granted, the big storm is going to stir up a lot of germs and kick things around. And it's unfortunate that she got pink eye, but Bob Costas was able to get through an entire Olympics with double pink eye.
Is that true?
Yeah. Don't you remember not this Olympics, but the last one?
No.
He had, oh my gosh, you got to Google it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was,
but he wasn't competing.
No, but he was broadcasting every night with double pink eye.
Oh, I bet. How did the ratings do with that?
I think they went back to standard definition and then did like a wide zoom. So,
really? Is that really what they did?
No,
because that's gross.
Yeah, it was really gross.
Yeah, I would do it. I would blur his eyes.
Yeah,
it's probably worse.
Maybe. I mean, sunglasses would have been like a Roy Orbison cool movie could have done.
Or like, some of those glasses where it had like the big eyes inside.
The big eyes on the outside, like big gorgeous eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's eyelashes, the whole thing. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
B. Sarpong also wants to know, or do they plan on giving Jessica ointment for her pink eye behind the scenes at all? We're really the wrong ones to ask.
We are the wrong ones to ask. I wouldn't doubt it if they do, but pink eye is one of those things that doesn't just go away.
Is that right? I've never had pink eye.
I've had pink eye before.
Was it from fecal matter?
I got it from someone else.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine had it, and he was like, no, it's not pink eye. And we were like, bro, I've seen pink eye before. And then it was like a whole outbreak amongst all my friends, and blame him, and he still maintains to this day that the pinkish goopy goo in his eye was not pink eye.
That then like was caught by everyone he knew.
Yeah. He still maintains that everyone got pink eye, but it wasn't because of the thing he had, which was different.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's one of those things that there's probably like eye drops or something for it, but it's still going to take a while. We're going to see a few more episodes with this pink eye problem.
Interesting. Well, I really don't want to. It's too bad. What do you think? I like Jessica. We didn't talk about Jessica, and we didn't talk about the legacy, whatever it's called, Clue,
or the legacy advantage, or whatever it is. Yeah,
you have a mystery advantage that will reveal itself on day 36. Let's speculate idly. What do you think?
I think it's an advantage to a challenge.
That's what I think.
And I think it's the perfect time because it's getting down to the nitty gritty there. And I like how if she gets voted out, she has to gift it to someone else.
Yeah.
Because then we're going to definitely see it get played.
Right. Otherwise, it's 100% not making it to the end.
Well, like 99.9%.
I guess nothing is 100%.
Yeah, nothing. So yeah, I like the in theory, but it also depends. I mean, it's a fine line between giving someone too strong of an advantage or not strong enough.
Right.
And so we'll see how it plays out. But so far, I like it.
It's interesting though. Like, I'm curious how they're going to do the pass off, because if the pass off is like a public thing, then, which I kind of hope it is,
it has to be.
Does it have to be done?
I mean, are they going to come to her and be like, "Hey, you're getting voted out tonight. Who are you passing your thing to? Do it now."
It could be after they get voted out. Like suddenly, like that person like finds it in their bag the next day.
That could be. I was just thinking that it was going to have to be made public.
I mean, presumably they're going to make it public because that's much more interesting, right? Suddenly, there's a whole new dynamic of like, this guy's got the legacy advantage. Like, I want to be his friend, and because I want to get the legacy advantage.
But I want to vote him out. I want to be his friend, but I want to vote him out so I can get it.
But also, voting them out doesn't remove the legacy advantage from the game, which is interesting. If you blindside someone with an idol, that idol's gone. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You want to befriend them and then vote them out at day 35. So then the legacy falls into your lap.
Yeah, you need to like get that person blindside without them knowing it was you who did it.
Correct.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. Like, but if it really could spur some unique gameplay. I like that. You know, I like the level of the format twists that they're playing with these days. It's like little tweaks that aren't like big things, like the Medallion of Power, which was like overpowered and kind of ridiculous.
We're gonna see a little bit different gameplay as that nears, but it's not going to give someone the opportunity to change the entire game in one fell swoop.
Are these tribes evenly matched? Like, thinking of the Medallion of Power reminded me of like Survivor Nicaragua. You had the older and younger tribe, and it was ridiculous, right? You had a tribe of like athletic young people and a tribe of like, you know, decently fit but not athletic young people. No surprise, the young people smoked the older people. Like, what do you think of the balance here?
It's too early to tell, but I feel like people my age can definitely compete with people in their 20s. And it's just finding the right mix and match. And a lot of millennials, we know how lazy they are. They're not going to go to the gym and work out a bunch. I mean, they'll take pictures of themselves doing yoga for their Instagram. Yeah. But they're not doing much yoga besides that.
Just the Instagram yoga.
Just the Instagram yoga on the, with the view behind it. So I think, good. I would hope and I would love to see the Gen X compete with these guys and hand it to them. And in the hearts and minds of the Gen X, that's all they want to do is teach these millennials a life lesson.
Who are you rooting for as a tribe?
I always root for the underdog tribe, dude.
Which is the Gen Xers.
Which right now is the Gen Xers.
I'm rooting for them too. I like it. Yeah.
I mean, you and I are both Gen X. We're classic Gen Xers.
Yeah.
You know,
classic.
We remember Cindy Crawford and Pepsi.
Do people not remember Pepsi?
Well, together with Cindy Crawford.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought those are two separate things. Yeah.
No, they're one thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But a lot of millennials won't know they're synonymous.
Yeah, that's true. That actually, it's funny they didn't mention that because that's the big generational divide.
See, I'm glad we're on the same page. Yeah. Should we get to Allie's question?
Yeah, here? Yeah.
So Allie asks, does Stephen Fishback have any advice for David to defeat that stick?
I do. Throw it in the fire. You know what? If stick wants to fight back, burn it.
Well, what about all the CO2 emissions?
Oh, that's no good. You're right. Yeah. Well, you plant a tree then, right? And that does it. So burn it and then plant a tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Rel wants to know, is it a good idea to wake a bat during the daylight?
I think bats are only kind of in standby mode in the daylight, so you can disturb them a little bit. They're fine. Bats are fine, guys. Anybody who's scared of bats hasn't been around bats.
They're terrifying.
They're scary. I think the bat they showed on there was like a flying fox, and I think they're generally harmless.
Whoa, foxes can fly?
Well, it's a bat that looks like a fox.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, believe that.
What is that? Edward Morris. Well, I want to know.
Why did they vote CC and not David?
Yeah, why did they vote CC and not David?
I think David's plea. I think it helped him, the loyalty thing. Plus, I think if you think someone has an idol, to keep all the votes off of him if you can is a good way to go. If you can scare him into using it and not actually have anybody vote for him, that's not bad.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I think you're right. But I just don't see why. Right. I think you're right. Yeah. Like,
and
why?
People will convince themselves that he has the idol,
right,
and then they'll convince others that he has the idol. And it doesn't matter if he does or doesn't. Now he needs to use that to his advantage.
Right. And they didn't actually. Cece seemed shocked that she got votes. She was not expecting that.
And I wasn't expecting it either. I thought it was between David and Rachel.
It was interesting that they didn't even make Cece a thing at all. Like in
classic Survivor slip, man.
Yeah, it was. I liked it. Eric Laval wants to know, Taylor and Jay, who's the Eddie and who's the Reynold?
You're gonna have to field this one because I don't even remember enough about Eddie or Reynold.
I think Jay is clearly the Reynold. And Taylor is clearly the Eddie, right? Like Taylor's a little bit love struck with the big flirt Figgy, just like Eddie and Andrea had their thing. Reynold is a little more savvy one. He's got strategic chops, just like Jay kind of seems to have his head screwed on a little bit tighter than Taylor does. And certainly in the preview for next week, we see Taylor going head over heels and Jay not having it.
Yeah, that could be the end of the triad.
Yeah, love comes between people. It's a classic story.
It really is a classic story. It never gets old, and that's why Survivor's been on the air for so long.
It really has, and it's successful too.
Yeah.
Darren Bucator wants to know, Jamie from Guatemala has been the long haul reigning, undisputed, most paranoid player ever. Will David take his place?
Really? What about that Stephen Fishback guy from
I was not that paranoid. You know what? Calm down. Okay.
What about Monica
when
from
they're
Blood
out to
vs.
get you?
Water?
Yeah.
That's true. It's not paranoia if they're out to get you. You're right.
Yeah.
You're going to have to answer any of these historic ones, Stephen.
I actually have never seen Guatemala, so maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Pass.
Yeah.
Okay, Eric Lavelle again. You need some lumberjack work done, but only have $5. Who do you hire, Stephen or David?
I don't know. Neither. You hire if you have hire a lumberjack.
The second comment may help with that.
Yeah.
Poet Stephen Fishback writes, that's completely unaffiliated and attached with you, right? Or are you running this account?
I consider them all. We're all like a Twitter family.
Okay, like a trinity where you're all one but all separate.
Yeah, I would call us a Tri-4. Oh, well, you've got some Twitter lookalikes.
Yeah, and I embrace all of them.
Yeah.
So Poet Steven says, wow, didn't David make Steven look like Joe Anglim out there?
That's the narrative I like.
So,
that's the one I prefer, is the one when it's not like, oh, look at those two, they're the same. It's like,
yeah.
Oh my God. But you know what? I had a lot of sympathy. I do think it was probably a very similar thing. Where it's degrees of the same thing.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, and I think the only reason they probably included that stick narrative in the show is because you had the first stick narrative, the battle versus Steven versus the stick, the great clash of 2015.
I actually think there's a chance that it was an homage to that. Here's the thing about the Survivor producers, they're huge fans of the show. And I feel like a lot of people think oh, I just saw this crazy callback to this other thing. And wouldn't that be crazy if that was actually a callback? Like, it was probably a callback. Like these guys, like they're experts. I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, the producers, what do they know what they're doing? These people are the people who make this show, who dedicate their lives to making this show. Like, and then what's cool is they make it like great for the casual viewers and they make it great for the super fans. And like, that's what they're intending to do. So they are creating these like little moments that are supposed to be like, references to the past seasons.
Yeah, no, I think so. I hope that one day they reference something I did.
I don't see the point.
Yeah, I don't either,
honestly,
but I was just like in my heart, I was just hoping.
Yeah.
Haiku Fishback hits us, huh?
Yeah, Haiku Fishback wants to know, was Jeff trying to get Sia money by saving the chickens during the evacuation? And was Jeff trying? Yeah.
Many people will say that Jeff has enough money and that wouldn't concern him, but if there's a person that says they don't want an extra 50 or 100 grand, that person is lying to you.
Yeah. You know what? No matter how much money you have, you always want more.
Yeah. I'd give everything I have for just a little bit more.
It's classic Mr. Burns line.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of my favorite Simpsons lines of all time. All right, let's just take a couple more. I'll do one and you'll do one. Okay. Survivor Central wants to know, a pretty people alliance of 4 in a 10-person tribe have Figgy, Jay, Michelle, and Taylor. Never seen Caramoan. All right, it's a historical question. Yes, it's very reminiscent of the Allie, Reynolds, Eddie, and Hope Alliance, and many other alliances of people who were not able to count. Matt Quinlan comes to mind from Survivor, whatever that was. Colton's sort of One World, and a lot. And typically, I think, again, it's people who they've got their core group and they think they're going to pick up some stragglers. And they don't realize they've alienated everyone outside their core group.
Yeah, that's the trick. It's nice to have that real strong core group, but if you alienate people, that's worthless.
Yeah. And one more. Oh, this is a Tyson.
Yeah, Fat Tyson Apostle, which is not currently me, but in maybe 5 or 10 years, I will trade my current Twitter account with the Fat Tyson Apostle Twitter account.
Yeah.
So here's what he asks. Are they painting David right with a Cochran-like 0 to hero arc?
I think possibly, right? Like,
yeah, I think so too. You saw the tears, you saw the emotion, the love for the game. Yeah.
I definitely think David is going to have grows, this sort of Suri arc where he starts out like Suri starts out, she's afraid of leaves, and then, then she's like the strategic mastermind of the thing.
Yeah, and he's himself has said he's there for the strategy, and the nature stuff scares him to death.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so thank you guys. Thank you, Tyson. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm not used to driving the conversation, so I'm
glad you did, because I would have just sat here in silence.
That could have been interesting. It would have been like a performance piece.
Yeah.
What typically this is the part where Rob promotes what he's got coming up on the show. Rob's got some great stuff coming up for you guys. Don't really know what it is, but you should check it out. I'm sure it'll be fascinating.
It's going to be really good.
I think he's got a recap tomorrow with Michelle, actually, which is pretty cool. I'm curious to see what she has to say.
Yeah, and he's currently at the Big Brother finale, so that will be interesting. That's why he couldn't join us today.
Wow.
And
well, he really wouldn't have joined us today. He would have just joined me.
Joined you, and I would have not. I mean, I was third string anyways, but I performed okay. I think maybe. Yeah,
I think we're ready.
If I do a couple more of these on my own, just some run throughs in my basement, hopefully I can be second string and push Wiggler all the way out.
I think you should practice.
I have been.
Yeah. It's like, what you got anything? What's follow Tyson at Tyson Apostle on Twitter. Anything else that you got coming up?
I'm Tyson Apostle everywhere. So and I have stuff coming up, but it's not a big deal. I do the News AF every Tuesday.
News AF. Any big news this week?
There's always big news. I mean, the Corey Feldman thing was
that was something.
What a time to be alive,
What a time to be alive. Gosh, I mean, we should. I'm curious. Wow, yeah, that was a thing that happened.
Yeah, it was a thing that happened, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doubled his Twitter following. For how heartbroken he was from the backlash he got from that video, I'm certain he got a boost.
Was he upset about it?
He was very upset about it. Said he couldn't even get out of bed. And it doesn't get more millennial than this. His attitude was, we tried our hardest And so I don't know why everybody's hassling us about why it was so terrible, because we tried our hardest. What more can you ask of us than trying our hardest?
I guess that's right. As long as someone is trying hard, they shouldn't have to create something good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tyson, I'll talk to you soon. And the rest of you guys, I'm excited to see you next week. I'm at, oh shoot, we didn't put our Twitter handles on the screen. I'm at Steven Fishback. It's spelled like step hen Bach, like that's a step hen, Fishbach, not BACK.
Stefan.
Step hen.
Yeah. Step hen. Okay, I get it. And I'm Tyson Apostle, at Tyson Apostle, but if we're going to do the pronunciation wise, it would be at Tyson Apostle.
Apostle.
Yeah. That's how people
with an A at the end.
Well, it's an OL at the end.
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
Apostol.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Yeah, we had a great time. Stephen, we'll have to catch up with our personal lives at a later time, but
we
I
could
look
just
forward
chat
to it.
now.
Well, we can.
Yeah. How's everything? No, let's not. Let's save it for another time.
Yeah, more private venue where we can send pictures to each other and stuff.
Cool. How do I turn this off? How do I stop us recording?
It might already be stopped.